What a beautiful day. Let's have a garden tour. It is the week of Thanksgiving, November 20-something, and the garden's really changed a lot since the last time we looked around. So let's go look around together. We're going to begin our tour right here with the carrots. Carrots are coming up. Man, these are slow. Taking so long. You can see down here these carrot seedlings are just now getting their first true leaves. And we've got some chickweed coming up. Chickweed is a traditional winter weed here. Now chickweed will build big mats and will cover things over, and it is edible. It's good to eat, but yeah, you can see a lot of it over there. It's a very winter and spring centric weed around here. The carrots are looking good. It's encouraging. Here's a bit of garden archaeology. This is a redfish jawbone. And my neighbor gave me a redfish, a couple of carcasses of redfish, red drum, and they're very common on the Gulf Coast, and I put them in the compost bin, and that was many years ago. I'm always finding fish bones in here. Let's see. All my various brassicas are doing great. These are cabbages, broccoli, and cauliflower, and I had to replace a couple of them because of cutworms, and I've got a cutworm video you can go see, but yeah, they're all brassicas. They all grow kind of the same growth habit. You know, cabbage will head up right there. I think that's a cauliflower over there. But man, they're looking so good. I'm so happy. One of the reasons I chose to use the black weed barrier cloth this year was to help heat up the soil. Because it's cool, and the cool season is here, this black cloth helps to trap sunlight and draw in solar energy and heat up the soil so the plants are a little more vigorous. That's especially important when we're looking at these guys over here. Let's talk about this garden. I started these collard greens and everything in this garden except the celery from seed, and so the black cloth helped with germination. Collards, they're looking a little bit better now. They were tiny for the longest time, but they're picking up now. Celery's looking good. I need to put some fertilizer on these, some nitrogen-rich fertilizer. I've got a little bit of yellow leaves, but not as many as I had when I first started, so that's encouraging. Keep these watered really well. The celery, will be blanching it when it gets about twice that size. That's encouraging. Right here we got some Daikon radishes, and I put one Daikon radish in each hole. These are pretty large daikons, and so I'm expecting them to do well here. I've given them more space than you really need to, and that will help them to be able to send out their micro roots and mine for resources. Over here we've got another kind of daikon here, and we thinned these out. They're growing really well, responding really well to thinning. These were started from seed at the same time these were, and look, they're much bigger. Over here we have some Asian greens. We've got a tatsoi variety, these two rows right here. And over here, I think those are daikons as well. I'm not sure, I'd have to look at the label, but what are those? Yeah, these are daikons as well. These are a different variety. I've got 4 different varieties of daikon, and yeah, they're doing great. Got to come in here and thin them. We've already thinned them once, gonna have to make another pass. Actually, I didn't thin these, I thinned those. Probably have to thin these a little bit. What do you think? These little guys are too close together, so we'll thin a little bit. Yeah. See, that's too close together down there. Take some of those out. Same here. Take those out. Let that guy grow. Take that guy out. See, the problem with thinning by pulling is you disturb roots. At this point, I should probably come in with my snippers and snip them off. So that's what we'll do. But yeah, thinnings, straight to the compost. Let no plant go to waste. My third bed over here peas are coming up just fine. These are sweet, what are they? Amish? No. Down there I have some Amish snap peas, and from there, this way, these are sugar snaps. And they're looking great. Came up just fine. Growing just fine. We're going to have to trellis these. And I think I have an idea on a trellis for this. But I've got to go to my son's house and pick up some cattle panel. Right here we have our kohlrabis. They're coming up. And we're going to have to thin those as well. You can see I've got clumps here and blank spot there, clumps over there. That's all right. I think pea plants are very pretty. Down here at the end, I have a variety of radish called the Japanese 100-pound radish, but they're supposed to get really large, but I don't expect them to get 100 pounds. I've only got a few of them coming up here. I put some here too. That's all right then. Need to get some mulch on this bed. Once I can see where my plants are, we're going to mulch. Right here we've got some rutabagas coming up, and they're a little bit slow, but they are coming up. And once I see where the rows are, we can come in and mulch. Mulch is pretty necessary for suppressing weeds and keeping moisture locked in that soil. If you saw my strawberry video, here's the update. Looking great, man. These plants are spreading out. I did find out through a commenter, thank you very much, that this is an ever-bearing variety. An ever-bearing variety. It is not a spring variety or a there's a third category, but I forgot. These are ever-bearing, so well, we'll see what we get. I put some here as well, and they're already sending runners out and starting to root into the ground. I don't know if you can see that in the shade, but that guy right there is rooted. I've been filling this bed here with expired potting mix, and one thing I found that was helpful, I've got lots of wood, lots of sticks, lots of stems of woody plants down in the bottom of there, is to water it in really well, and all that soil will settle in around all that that organic material down below. You get it nice and settled in, you won't have as many air pockets. So we'll see how this one goes. Goji berries looking really good. They like this weather. I don't think they're going to fruit for me, but they're putting on a whole lot of growth here, and that's good, especially for next spring, when we can come and take some of these goji berry vines and maybe propagate some more plants. I do have this in a pot, and the problem here is the roots have grown out below the pot, so I'll probably be wise to cut this pot away from the roots, get in there and carefully extract that pot, and then build up some soil here and just let them grow here. Yeah, I'm looking forward to goji berries. My apple trees, they're really tall. This is what we wanted. I've given you an update on these before. If you're following my apple trees, that's a long-term project, and I appreciate you sticking around and following. So come this spring, we're going to cut this apple tree down and force out side growth, and we're going to keep these apple trees rather small. These are varieties that were chosen from Cuffle Creek Nursery. Cuffle Creek Nursery supplies varieties of apple trees as bench grafts. I mean, they literally were this big when we got them, and most of that was rootstock. And we selected varieties that are suitable for the subtropics. These varieties are, there's about 40 of them listed on their website, and they grow in Uganda, so they can grow here. And man, I'm really impressed with this apple tree. All of these trees have done really well for me. This one got attacked by some sort of chewing caterpillar. You can see it stripped about 2 feet of the stem here. But yeah, still doing great. Man, I can't wait to have apples. Yeah, the dill is really growing well. Branching out. I could start harvesting this and using fresh dill without worry of stunting these plants. That's really encouraging. I love dill. I love fresh dill from the garden. This is really encouraging. You can see my garlic is growing just fine. This garlic will make it through the winter. Even if the frost or freeze comes and knocks these back, they'll pick back up in the spring and start putting on bulbs. But this is the first time I've grown garlic, and I'm really happy about this. I have put on a pretty heavy layer of mulch. As you can see, I've put the mulch on. Once I knew where these plants were, I know Rachel told me when we planted this garden, Rachel at Oxheart Gardening, she's grown garlic before, and she showed us how to grow garlic. And she said that this garlic would punch through the mulch, but I just put the mulch on after I saw where the garlic was coming up, and I made sure I didn't cover any of it up. I don't guess that's really necessary, but it's peace of mind, you know. Sometimes you got to have peace of mind. So yeah, garlic bed doing really good. This makes me really happy. Wow. Look at this. This is one of my favorite things in the garden. I have been growing citrus for about 2 years now, and second year you can expect fruit on some of your plants. And this one is an Awari Satsuma orange, and it's so good. The skin comes off so nicely that you can even, you break them when you pull them off the tree there. You got to cut them off, but look how easily that skin just comes right off. This is wonderful. I have one each day for breakfast, and man, I love these. Look at that. So these are actually really good oranges. They're kind of like a mandarin. They come apart real easy. They're just delicious, man. I love these. So if you can grow citrus, try it. This is a container plant, and it's had about 40 oranges on it this year in about a 20-gallon pot. And it's only, well, if I straighten it out, it's curved around itself, but if I straighten it out, it's about 3.5 to 4 feet tall. And it's kind of a spindly little plant, but you can grow citrus and get nice fruit like this. I mean, wonderful. I think that if you live in zone 9, zone 8, and maybe even zone 7, if you grow citrus in a pot, you can take it indoors during the cold season if you have a sunny place indoors, and it will continue to grow for you, I think. I know in zone 9, I leave these out during the winter. I take them in only if we have a hard freeze. So far, so good. And look at that. I do have some figs that are still fruiting, but I don't think they're going to ripen up. I don't think there's enough time. I did get a ripe fig off of my Ronde de Bordeaux, one of my favorite fig trees, but these, yeah, they're too hard. They're not going to come to fruition. But all the other trees are doing great. Everybody's looking good. I have this pot in which I grew an eggplant in the spring and summer. And that eggplant stem, it's about 1 inch thick. It's still in here. I can't get it out without pulling everything up. All those roots are still down in there. And I have this rice hull mulch over the top, which has suppressed all the weeds. There's no weeds in here. But I'm going to use this soil during the fall to spring transition. And I'm going to plant some herbs in it. I'm going to plant some cilantro. And I'm going to plant some parsley. I found these starts at the local feed store. And I might as well, right? This pot's not doing anything. And man, you got to have cilantro. So I'm just going to cut me a hole in here and plug in some herbs. Cilantro grows well during the winter. It doesn't grow well here in the summer, which is kind of sad. That's when all the other good stuff grows with which you make cilantro or hot sauce and picante sauce. But if I can get some cilantro here, I can maybe freeze it, dry it, whatever, and have it ready for the summer. Now I'll just move this mulch back around it. Got another cilantro cluster here. I'm gonna plant in here as well. So just drop it right in there. I'm not even gonna mess with the roots. I'm just gonna let it do what it wants. And this stuff will grow like a weed. I guarantee you, in this climate, at this time of year, cilantro will grow well. And you don't really have to worry about it. You don't have to do anything, just keep it watered. Just like parsley. Speaking of which, I'm going to put my parsley in here as well. I have some parsley growing in another pot, but you can never have enough herbs in your garden. I like these bonny plants. They tend to be pretty healthy plants. This one doesn't want to come out. There we go. And that's why, look at that, that's all root bound. Let's break some of these roots up. Just break them up with your thumb, down near the bottom especially. All right. Now what I like to do when I put in herbs is to water them in really well with a very, like a half-strength organic fertilizer that's high in nitrogen. So we're going to get some fish emulsion and water these in really well with that 511 fish emulsion. Just a little bit of a light dose of it. All right. Fish emulsion stinks, and here comes Phoebe to prove it out. She likes to sniff this stuff and lick it up. No, Phoebe. And you know, good fertilizer, like Wanda at Deep South Homestead said in a video just today, I think, good fertilizer stinks. But this fish emulsion, though it stinks, will dissipate its smell pretty quickly. I find within a few hours you can't tell it's there. But it's high in nitrogen, and all these leafy greens like our herbs and brassicas and things that you're harvesting leaves from benefit from this stuff, this nitrogen-rich fish emulsion. You know what else benefits from nitrogen-rich fertilizer? Celery. After all, we're not growing roots, we're not growing seed pods or fruit, we're growing stems and leaves. And that's what nitrogen is good for. Grows all those leaves, gives them a nice deep green color, and that's what we want. So I'm going to put the remainder of my fish emulsion fertilizer on my celery, and I think they'll be happy. There is no green plant on earth that does not like nitrogen, and fish emulsion is full of it. Stop that barking. You gotta stop that barking. I'm trying to make a video here. That's a good girl. Yes, ma'am, she's a good girl. Now, hey, sit. Sit. Good dog. Oh, she's a good dog. All right, I got my herb bed over here, and the fall has really given this herb bed a boost. These had been planted in the spring, and all these herbs, this thyme, this purple oregano back here, my rosemary is doing great. Man, my rosemary, this is beautiful, and I love the smell of it. Oh, it just is such, you can't beat rosemary. And look at all this thyme. I've got a ton of it growing here. We could put this by, we could dry it and pick it. It's kind of tender, it's just at that spot you want it. So I think that's what we're going to need to do, is start getting our thyme brought in and dried. You can see the grapevines are starting to go dormant. They've dropped most of their leaves. This one down here still has some. And down at the other end, we've still got a bunch of leaves where they get sun a little bit longer. But as the sun starts shifting, this north side of my property over here starts getting less and less light in the winter, except right here. And so you can see that's encouraged these plants to keep their leaves a little longer. But they will drop. And I will take all of this woody stuff and we'll cut them back to right there. Every single little fruiting spur we will cut back. And all of that woodiness will go into the new shredder I bought. And we'll chip it up and put it in the compost or use it for mulch. Thanks for joining me today on Black Gumbo Southern Gardening. Hey, if you're planting your spring garden and if you're looking for a good source of seeds, try Seeds for Generations. If you use the link down below, you will get a great quality product from a family-owned business that I really enjoy and support. And if you use my link, you'll be supporting our channel as well, so that's helpful for us. Seeds for Generations, a great seed company. Hey, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. We'll talk to you next time. Happy gardening. Happy gardening. Bye-bye.